Welcome in, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at something, well, I think really powerful and really important for everyone, no matter what you might be going through. We're going to be talking about gratitude, about making it a real part of how you live.
Gratitude. Yeah, it's such a deep well, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's like a way of seeing the world, a way of being in the world that can really change everything.
It really is. And when I think about this, I always go back to those words in the Bible in 1 Thessalonians 5:1e, where it says, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." And it's not just a suggestion, it feels like a really basic truth, like something we need to build on. It's so much more than just, being happy when things are going your way.
Right, right. It's not about waiting for the good times to roll around. It's about cultivating that spirit of thankfulness that runs so much deeper than that. It's about
Yeah.
finding those moments, those threads of blessing, even when things are tough, even when life feels kind of messed up.
Okay, yeah, let's dig into that a little more because I don't know about you, but for me, gratitude isn't always what pops into my head first when things get difficult.
Mm.
It can feel kind of, I don't know, backwards almost.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about here, it's like this active choice, a practice we have to work at.
Exactly. It's a discipline, you know?
Hmm.
Like anything else, like prayer, like meditation, it's a spiritual practice that we have to choose to do.
Hmm.
It's about intentionally directing our focus, training our hearts. It's
Yeah.
like when we make that choice, when we make that decision to look for what we have instead of what's missing, something starts to change inside of us. Our whole perspective starts to shift.
Hmm.
There's that saying, when we choose to focus on what we have instead of what we lack,
Hmm.
our hearts shift, our outlook changes. It's so true. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, and it's powerful when you think about where that call to give thanks in all circumstances actually comes from. I mean, the Apostle Paul, the guy who wrote those words, he went through so much persecution, imprisonment, threats. I mean, he was living in constant danger. It wasn't some theory for him.
No, not at all. He wasn't speaking from some comfortable ivory tower.
Mm.
His words were forged in the fire of his own struggles.
Mhm.
And that makes him even more powerful, more real. Like, even when life is throwing everything it had at you, even then, there's still good, still something to be grateful for. That's the real posture of faith.
So it's not about denying the hard stuff, the pain, the difficulty. It's about embracing the, in all circumstances, part of
Mhm.
that teaching, right?
Exactly. It's not just about being thankful when things are easy. It's about growing a resilient gratitude, a kind of thankfulness that can weather any storm. It's like, a deeper kind of appreciation, one that doesn't depend on everything going perfectly. And you know what's really fascinating? This kind of persistent gratitude, it can actually transform us.
Okay, so how does that transformation usually happen? What does that actually look like?
Well, one way is that it shifts our focus. It takes us from that feeling of scarcity, of lack, to an awareness of all that we do have. Even in those moments when we feel like we've lost everything, if we just stop and think, we can usually find something, some good thing that's still there. Maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a skill, maybe it's just the ability to breathe. And a change of perspective, that can be huge.
And I imagine it also helps us trust more, gives us that feeling of even in the valley, we're not alone.
That's it. It's a comfort, a source of strength in those tough times. By focusing on what we still have, on the good that remains, it's like we tap into something bigger than ourselves, something that's carrying us through. And this gratitude, it becomes a way to experience joy, peace, a sense of renewal, even in the middle of the hardship.
Yeah, it's like it opens us up to those feelings. And when
Yeah.
you said gratitude invites a sense of divine presence into every moment, that really struck me.
It speaks to something, to that connection we have with the spiritual side of life, however we understand it. Gratitude opens us up to that.
To see how all of this works in the real world, I've been thinking about some really powerful stories. Like, you remember that small town in Mississippi that was hit by that tornado back in March 2025?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Talk about the strength of the human spirit. They lost everything, homes, businesses, everything gone. And yet they still gathered at the local church for a Thanksgiving service.
And it wasn't anything fancy, right? It was
Yeah.
just people coming together, sharing what they had, what little food they had left, telling their stories, singing songs, and just being grateful for what remained, their lives, their community. It was amazing.
It really was. And what's so striking is how their spirit, how their gratitude in the face of such loss, it inspired people all over. It reminded us all that even in the darkest times, even then, there's still light.
And then there are the stories coming out of Ukraine with the war and everything. These families who have lost so much, who are displaced, who are dealing with so much trauma and uncertainty, they're sharing these moments of gratitude online, these little videos.
It's incredible, isn't it? They're going through so much, and yet they find reasons to be thankful. They're thankful that their kids can go back to school, that they have clean water, that they can hug their loved ones, that they can sing songs of hope together.
And these little acts of gratitude against the backdrop of all that suffering, they're just so powerful. It really shows how gratitude can keep the human spirit alive. Like that quote we were talking about, their testimonies are a powerful reminder that even amid loss and uncertainty, gratitude can sustain the soul.
These stories from Mississippi and Ukraine, they both show us something really important. They show us that Thanksgiving isn't about denying pain. It's about finding grace within it. It's not about pretending everything's okay. It's about recognizing that there's still good, even when it's hard to see.
Yeah, I love that. Gratitude doesn't erase our struggles, but it opens our eyes to the blessings that still remain. It's about making that choice to focus on the good even when we're going through tough times.
That's it. It's about training ourselves to see the light, even in the darkness. It's about that strength of the human spirit, that choice to be grateful.
So, with all this in mind, all this wisdom, this idea of gratitude as a spiritual discipline, the stories we've heard, what's the main takeaway for you? What's at the heart of all this?
I think the core understanding here is that gratitude can change everything. It changes how we see the world, how we interact with it. It's not just some feeling that happens to us. It's something we do, something we choose. It's a way of embracing life, the good and the bad, with a thankful heart.
And it all comes back to that verse. When we give thanks in all circumstances, we invite God's peace and presence into every moment. It's about making space inside of us, opening ourselves up to something bigger.
It is. It's about knowing that even in the chaos, even in the uncertainty, there's a deep peace, a deep connection waiting for us. And it all starts with gratitude.
So, as we wrap up today, I want to leave you all with a question, something to really think about. What's one thing, big or small, that you can thank God for today, even if nothing in your situation has changed?
Think about the power of gratitude. It's not a fleeting feeling. It's a practice, a way of life. It's about engaging with the goodness that's always there, even in the hardest of times.